It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle with ASU strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
the legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2%.
It is a very beautiful day right here, and it is Saturday, the 5th day of October 2024. It is another wonderful time to bring you the weekend edition of Global Morning on Global Television. And one very important thing is the fact that we are all able to see this wonderful day. I call this day a very wonderful day. You know why? Because each day comes with its own blessings, and seeing a new day, it means there is hope for every one of us in this country. Despite the fact that some persons are already giving up on so many things that are happening around them, it's making them give up on the country, maybe give up on themselves, give up on their relatives, families, and friends. But then, I tell people that every day comes with its own blessing, and if you're not positive, you mix out of the blessing. So it's so good that you're connected to Global Television this morning as I walk you through the programs we have for this morning, beginning from the newspaper segment, where we bring you to speed with things happening around from the daily. You know, so many things happening now. A lot of people don't even want to listen to the news now because they feel, it's the same thing we've been hearing. It's the same thing. What else will they have to say? But then you don't have to say that, because if you're not informed, you are deformed. And it's very important for you to know what is happening around. After that, we will get to the discussion segment. You know what? Today is World Teachers Day. Are you a teacher? What do you do for a living? Let me shock you, okay? It might not be a shocker for some persons because they already know that everyone on the surface of the earth is a teacher. You know why? Because you may not be within the confine of the four walls of a primary school, a secondary school, a tertiary institution, but then you may have taught someone something at a particular point in time, yeah? That person, you thought how to prepare a goosey soup. You've taught that person something. That means you are a teacher. The adjective that can qualify what you've actually done is teacher. So you are a teacher. All right, let's go on a quick break. After this break, we'll return, and of course, it will be time for us to bring you to speed with the headlines for today. My name is Ramsey Enoch.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
Many thanks for staying with us on Global Morning. This is the time where we take you to the dailies for the day, the newspapers, and so many catchy and very informative headlines that we have today. Like I said before we went on break, I will be joined by an information, expert and a public affairs commentator. Agunleye Olalekan is his name. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
It's good to have you on Global Morning today.
Thanks.
So many things are happening in Nigeria now, and Nigerians are always attentive, waiting for the next thing. And information is vital. But there are some persons that, if you want to talk about maybe going through the papers and maybe listening to the news, they are not so interested because they feel, what we just want to hear is what is happening. When would we go to the market and return with our cellophane filled up with just 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 naira? So I don't know. How do you look at that situation?
Well, for anybody who is not concerned or interested in news and information, probably they will live in ignorance. What makes the difference between a good and a bad decision most times is the information that goes into the process of the decision making. Perhaps if you live in this town and you have the right information, you're likely going to know that there are different categories of market and different categories of stores. And that perhaps because it's a supermarket does not mean everything therein is expensive. Or perhaps because it's an open market does not mean that everything there is cheap. So if you leverage on information, you possibly will be privy to the window shopping and surveys done by others. And then when you are actually out there, you get better value for your money.
You get better value for your money when you are out there. And think this is very catchy and this is very informative. Well, if you are not the type that sought after information, it means so many times you will be left in the dark. And that's exactly what my guest just talked about. Let's quickly get to the first point of call, and that is going to be the first news. And from here, I have this one which says, I apologize. It's wrong to say non-titers won't make heaven. That's coming from Adeboye above the header. Then I have this one which also says, it's over. That's the kicker. Basket mouth, despair over Nigeria's hopeless future amid economic collapse. Well, a lot of Nigerians right now, the only thing they think of, like we were saying when we get started, is hear this statement: basket mouth despairs over Nigeria's hopeless future amid economic collapse. But then, can someone say, the word hopeless doesn't really go down with me, because I know that there is always a light at the end of the tunnel, which was one of the lines in the statement that has come from the presidency recently. So what do you think about this? Despair over Nigeria's hopeless future. He's even been futuristic with his statement right here. I don't know, this statement, does it really go down with you?
Well, should anybody have a feel of hopelessness, my answer will be no. If there is any reason that I've known for a long time why the nation Nigeria still exists, it is because too many people can see hope. You may not see the planning. You may not see the build-up. It may not conform to what you think is the pattern. But one thing is sure, the nation will make progress. So for an individual to speak in a state of, there is hopelessness, it is finished, I don't think I agree. We have the human resources, we have the natural resources. So all that is left is to match the people, the process, and the right technology to get the right results. So we may not have people that we can see today who is doing everything right. But one thing is sure, I've always known that from being a child, that a lot of results we will get as a nation, not because we have planned for it, but because we have committed one or two sequential errors. And then the errors will build up. And we'll just discover that that problem we think was insurmountable, we have surmounted it. I'm sure that today we have less of ballot box snatching nationwide. Why? Because somewhere in the past, we introduced the card reader. The card permanent voters card possibly was seen as a business by those who brought it. Give us 2.6 billion or whatever, and we'll print the card. So why politicians were bothered about the contract for the cards? They didn't actually know that they were selling out their right to election bringer dates. But today the card is here, it's staying. That's a problem we have overcome. Today you have splinters of refineries around, including Dangote. Whether we like it or not, the future is going to be different from the past. The refineries are here.
Okay, the future would be different from the past, and that is the word of a man who has hope. But then, I know some Nigerians will be saying, okay, in the hands of these politicians, where do you think we are heading? He had said something that everyone have a role to play, just like the transition from card, the ballot cards getting to the beavers and everything. Even though we've not gotten it 100%, at least we're moving towards something great. Let's quickly look at some of the headlines from the first news. This one says, Falana urges peace in Rivers local government election. Right to please for intervention. I don't know, but what is happening in Rivers State right now? You know, this election has a timeline. And if nothing happens, what do you think if this election is not being conducted? Remember the local government autonomy that was being given in any state where they still have caretaker chairmen. They wouldn't partake in the local government autonomy that has been already agreed. Now, looking at what is happening in Fubara, now it's not all about Fubara and Wike anymore, or whoever that is aggrieved in the system, but about the people. The people needs a local government chairman, all right, so they can benefit from this local government autonomy. But looking at what is happening in Rivers State, Falana, the son, is urging peace in Rivers local government elections and right to please to intervene. Can police really handle this situation as it is?
Well, Rivers' situation is precarious, and sorry to put it, too many things seems to have gone wrong. I am an advocate of process. Not just process, but standard operating process. In the midst of practicing process, you, who is even the one in charge, may end up losing some grounds. But the thing is that nothing should be done out of impunity. If somebody is saying in this area you have not followed the process, let's look at it and see what can we do to ensure that the process is fully followed. Not that I am doing it in a manner or way that is that seems right to me. No. So it doesn't have to be at the whims and caprices of the PDP or of the governor or of APC or of anybody. You call them State Independence Electoral Commission. They are independent because there is a body of law and rules that should guide them. And so they should work within the timeline of the laws and the rules. And if anybody is saying you have not followed the rule, most times we say substantial compliance. Then we should be able to say, okay, this is the compliance that is substantial for us. So I think it is not about the political talk, it's not about the political gladiators, it's not about the minister, it's not about the governor. I think we should come down to that point. Are the rules being followed? Because if you do the wrong thing, you will eventually get the wrong result. You cannot take, if you have maybe a contact lens or a vision enhancing eyeglass, you can't say for expediency you want to put it in the pocket or on your arm. it will not do the job.
Yes,
so let the job be done the way it should be done. Let's sit down, leave the sentiments of the people, separate the people from the issues, and deal with the issues in terms of processes and procedures. And that way, I think Rivers will be a better place for it, because the chairman are going to have autonomy. So the governor should not even think that if he install them, he will be able to control them, because the governor has immunity. The local government chairman will not have immunity from prosecution. So if they take the local government money and give it through the back door to the governor, they can go to jail. The governors will not be able to at all time protect all the local government chairman from arrest and prosecution. And I think that the gladiators, those who want to contest, should remember that as they go into the process.
Those who want to protest, those who want to at least go out for that, should know the rules, what to do at a particular time and what not to do. More still coming from the first newspaper this morning. Tinubu succumbs to pressure bestowed GCON on Reps Speaker. It has been in the media, you know, that someone else was given GCON and somebody else was given something else. But now I think the correction has been done, whatever that means. I don't know what comes with these honors, but then those up there know what they are really looking for. This is not what Nigerians are even looking for right now. Nigerians are actually clamoring for something greater. It's not all about individuals. So GCON, and it doesn't translate into what will benefit the people, then the people may not even be bothered about that. More still coming from the newspaper this morning. Bandits attack Castina, disrupt Jumat prayers in shocking incident. Now to the big story on the first newspaper. Pat Utomi calls for action. We must address leadership issues to achieve progress in Niger Delta. Just one writer to that story. Insights shared at First News public lecture on the path to development. Then this one says the Rivers local government election on edge. That's the kicker. Fubara's deviance, police blockade, foreshadow violence. And this one says that ASU accuses federal government of failing to honor agreement, vows indefinite strike. I think Nigerians are tired of strike actions now. And today is World Teachers Day, which we're going to be talking about much later in the next segment. Let's get to the next point of call, which is the Guardian newspaper, and see what the Guardians had for us. What does he have for us? Is he going to guide us through in Nigeria to the future? All right, from the Guardian newspaper this morning, above the header, I have this one which says, daring hackers on the prowl amid strict anti-cybercrime measures. Tackling fuel supply crisis. That's the kicker. Lessons from NLNG template. And then the big story on The Guardian this morning, it says, end TB by 2030 with uncoordinated strategy, mission unaccomplished is eminent. That's on the Guardian newspaper, and just a few stories on the Guardian newspaper this morning. Then the last I will be taking from the Guardian says, Southwest politicians lip service to development. You know, when you talk about politicians, the first thing that comes to people's mind is lip service. They don't keep to what they say during the campaign. You know, when they need your vote, they say a whole lot of things, so many promises coming up. But at the end of the day, they don't get to fulfill these promises, and no one probably holds them accountable when they get into office because of the immunity clause and so many things, the powers that be and all of that. So is there any way this situation can be handled in this country? Because a lot of Nigerians right now, if you talk about politicians, the first thing that comes to their mind is, forget that man, he doesn't have fruit in his mouth, which is not very good. It's not a very good picture and a very good image of the democracy that we actually vouched for. So what would you have to say about, what's your thought, your opinion about this assertion?
Well, the reality will be this. Like I would always say, there are people, there are processes, there are technology. That is the modern world where we are, and you can't rule that out. How you match these three things determines how best you will move forward. I think I came across a verse in the Bible, so to say, that defines the current system we try to run, or that the American people try to run. And that talks about absolute powers. So I think it's Isaiah chapter 33, verse 22, and it was describing God as our king, as our lawgiver, and as our righteous judge. So he has absolute in the three realms. But he calls him a righteous judge, not just a judge, not a factual judge. So he knows the end from the beginning, and therefore he's judging based on truth, not based on fact. He is the lawgiver because he created the space in the first place, and so he knew why he wanted, what he wanted everybody therein to do, so he could provide the laws that will guide it. And then we say he is the king because, of course, he holds the kingdom and he rules over it. So when you bring it to our sphere, when the governor is campaigning to go in, or the president, he is trying to what? He is marketing or trying to market himself. Unfortunately, we also do not allow them to market themselves. What they do is to sell. Our politicians are selling and we are buying. Now, when they sell to you and you buy, you can buy the wrong product. Marketing would have been, I identify the need of the market, the people, and I'm satisfying it with profit. But selling is, I have my product, I have my profit margin, and I'm giving it to you.
So you're trying to say what the politicians are doing is that they are just selling them.
They are selling what they have
instead of marketing.
Yes. We also have not demanded them to market.
Okay, meaning in marketing you have option. But in selling, you are just being given
the product.
The product.
In marketing, somebody understands what exactly is your problem. And then he is solving that problem based on proper understanding with the intention to profit himself or profit his system, but he would have solved your own problem. We've seen politicians, even when they promise road and they do roads and there are no drainages. Nigeria is loaded with hills and valleys. So when you have hills and valleys and you have muddy earth, and then you go ahead and spread asphalt, no drainage, you expect that in a year's time, it will not survive more than one rain.
And what they do is that they just roll out pictures. Just roll out pictures, and one of the major problems is the fact that there is no proper supervision of this contracts, of these processes. So at the end of the day, you just see pictures, I did this, I did that. No wonder the president is asking the ministers to go and tell the Nigerian people what they've really done since they came into office. And just linking that to what you're talking about now, do you see the possibility of some ministers being shown the way out?
Well, if the president does not show some ministers, at least in my opinion, 25% of his cabinet the way out, he would possibly have misrepresented himself as a good hiring manager to the nation. Because one of the marketing factors people who don't know him in person made for him was his ability to select men as a hiring manager. And whether you like it or not, the job of the president in Nigeria, the most important of it, I would say, is actually being a hiring manager. Because you are appointing almost 10,000 people to boards and agencies to head this and to head that. So if your hiring skill is not good, you are going to have mixed multitude. And I think that for now, that is where we are. And because you expect to also see certain timelines. It's not just about removing removing people. We also need to have some timelines test. We're talking about CNG. There has been no deadline. Say, okay, in 6 months, in 200, this is what we'll get. Apart from tractor that will possibly, that I said local assembly will start in 6 months, there have been no timeline to any other thing. By now, we should know what is the terminal date for estimated billing in Nigeria. It's not about subsidy of power and estimated billing, which means people will stop paying for darkness. You can adjust the price to anything. I will control my usage if the power is available. But not ending estimated billing or not having a date for it is to say, tell Nigerians, pay for darkness perpetually. So even when you increase the price, there will still be no value for the money that they are paying. We've got tertiary institutions complaining about energy bill. I see no reason why all our tertiary health institutions, they are federal, most are owned by, those ones owned by the federal government. I see no reason, in fact, even by the state, there should be a terminal date from now to say we are exiting all tertiary institutions, all tertiary health institutions and tertiary education institutions from the grid, which is you either have a local grid, they either have a local grid, right, or they will have an off-grid supply, in which case they control their power generation, they control their consumption, and everything lies within them, not that they are paying 20 million, 100 million to an external person who sometimes does not even get to meet their need.
Well, this is so explosive and very informative and educational. But then, let's go on a quick break. When we return, we'll continue with the rest of the papers. Don't go nowhere.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Thanks for staying with us on the Global Morning. This is the weekend edition. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo, and of course, my guest is right here. And like the way it's going right now, I think Nigerians need to know so many things. I just got to know that what you don't know is bigger than you. And as a matter of fact, information has the power to open our eyes to several things and correct some anomalies in the society. Back to the papers, the headlines. Now want to look at the next point of call, which is the leadership weekend. The Leadership Weekend has this one above the header which says Tinubu makes U-turn, confers GCON on Abbas. The details of that is on page 4 of the Leadership. Banditry, that's the kicker. Katsina farmers use elderly women to harvest crops. That's a strategy. Banditry, that's the kicker. Katsina farmers use elderly women to harvest crops, meaning probably the bandits may not want to go away with the elderly women or something. Well, they have their reason why they are adopting that strategy. Then this one says details of that is on page 7 of the Leadership newspaper. How Niger boat mishap occurred. This survivor is saying this, and the details read on page 2 of the Leadership. Then this one says this one says the big story now, contributory health insurance. We're talking about insurance scheme. A poor service persists as subscribers hit 18.7 million. Then we have some riders to that story, and the first rider says enrollees lament exclusion of critical ailments, surgery from program. Enugu, others yet to domesticate law. Talking about poor services persist as subscribers hit 18.7 million. Talking about contributory health insurance scheme right here. Talking about health. There was a time in this country that doctors were perpetually leaving the country, traveling abroad, which was as a result of so many circumstances coming down to poor welfareism, talking about remuneration, and a host of other things. Now, there was a time also that drugs became scarce in this country. Then now we're hearing that health insurance scheme, even though it's not everyone that has access to this health insurance scheme, the demand, subscribers have hit 18.7 million, and that has resulted to what we call poor service, and this has been persistent. Now let's look at it. Health is one thing that is very paramount, very important and crucial to every individual, including Nigerians. Let's have a holistic look at the health sector. How are we faring?
Well, health-wise, are we faring well? I would not agree. I used to know in the 70s, I tell my friends the story and all of them will laugh and say, you are part of those who enjoy Nigeria. I was in school. We had some new students, and it was a UPE school. Government created them by mouth, and there were no facilities to run them. I have a table and a chair. Good enough. But we have some new students, and to encourage them to stay, I gave out my chair as the host, and then I sat on the window that has no cover, no burglary, nothing. Then we went for break. Then everybody played rough and we came back. I dozed off on the window and fell, and then had an injury on the back of the head. Why my teacher, I think one of the female teachers are good at this tissue, gave it to me to hold the head. They went looking for water because there was nothing around. I knew there was a maternity center 3 minutes away. So I walked down, and the clinic were like, I was in school uniform. Where were you coming from? Where are your teachers? I said she went looking for water, but I felt you were closer. No question, no card, no payment. I got treated. And I came back there because it's just also close to the house every morning before going to school. And I was never late to school. They attend to me every day before 7:30, I think for 1 week. What we are saying is, what makes those systems possible in the 70s? Why are they not possible now? Now, when you come to health insurance, we are not an insurance people, maybe as a nation. So when you put somebody who does not understand or have interest for insurance in charge of health insurance, you expect that that system will not work, because the people you have put in charge do not believe in the process. We should have more people on health insurance. We should have the health insurance system well monitored, possibly by the National Assembly, to ensure that the gaps are closed. If there are places where we actually need subsidy, it should be coming from health. But again, when you say health insurance, I used to run customer service, right? And then we do annual maintenance contract. And I can tell you that bulk of your costs go to 20% of the machines, and about 80% may never call apart from courtesy visit in the course of the year. So when you average it, maybe one or two spend more than what they are paying, but there are like 80% that are not spending up to it. So the thing is therefore to expand the base. Let's have more people engaged in health. It has listed, let's have more subscribers, expand the dragnet, and you will realize that the average cost then will be able to cater for a larger number of illnesses and for a larger number of people. And then of course a key thing is, in some of the advanced nations that the doctors from Nigeria run to, the man in charge of the hospital is not always a doctor. But I'm sure even to make a non-doctor health minister in Nigeria, when Abacha did it, put a pharmacist, doctors went on strike. And remember, Abacha regime had the pharmacist as the health minister. Doctors went on strike on that ground. Now, health management is a subject on its own, and professionals in that sector should possibly begin to be empowered to manage our hospitals as against leaving it as a birthright of only the doctors, some of who are just consultants and had not been trained in the business of managing the hospitals. I know that is a far call. It may never happen here, but if you go to a place like Gambia that is near to us, it is an health manager that manages the hospital. And then the doctors are responsible for their core profession. The pharmacists are responsible for their core profession. AC, generator, diesel, or whatever they need in the areas of power and environment are handled by technical people who are also competent. And they all report to an hospital manager who does not have allegiance or preference to any of the professions within the health sector, but wants to make sure that we are delivering service to the people. But that's obviously not our case. So we need an health reforms that look at everything from top down. We need to also look at infrastructure. Today you have people who suffer cancer, and then you are asking somebody who is weak to go from Abuja to Maiduguri for radio, or to go to Calabar because the machine in Abuja is down. Should there be downtime? Oh, you say it's cancer and it can spread, and then you are taking a whole week or a whole month for the person to be on the queue before he can get treatment. So in the end, the treatment process tends to kill the patient even more than the disease itself. Because you say early detection will cure the problem. But somebody has detected early and has come to you. Then you put him on a queue to be scanned, maybe for CT scan, and it's on the queue for a whole month. And then that is done, you do chemo, you do maybe surgery, and then you say come for radio, and then it's queuing for another 3 or 4 months. That tells you clearly that those who are in charge are more concerned about their ego, they are more concerned about their privileges than the health of the patients. Otherwise, it should be the hospitals that will let us know, oh, we have only one CT scan, and we have this volume of volume of patients. We have this facility available for radio, but we are getting this number of patients. This facility cannot cope. But no, those are not what we hear. And when we come to brain drain, are people leaving the country? Please take note of this. People are leaving the country from all sectors, including teachers, right? Physics teachers are leaving Nigeria. PE teachers are leaving Nigeria. Even French teachers are leaving Nigeria. Cleaners are leaving Nigeria. So it's not about, and the volume of cleaners of unskilled people that are even leaving are more than that of the skilled people. So people leaving should not be an argument why we should do things, why we should do the right thing. Basically, the right thing should be done in every sector, particularly in the health.
All right, thank you very much. Those are very wonderful one. But then, when we're talking about health, my consideration goes to the people in the hinterland. You know, the people in villages. I've been privy to work with an NGO sometimes back, and if you go to the villages, you will see what people are going through. You know, some persons don't even have, they don't have access to health facilities at all. Some places you see just buildings and nobody's there. Some places maybe one doctor or maybe one social worker, a health worker attending to a whole community. You know, and you see people, you see high mortality rates, you see a lot of people no antenatal, you know, people don't even know anything about bed spacing and so many other things. So what do you think the government should do, you know, to handle this situation? Because I know a lot of people, they will tell you, the budget for the health sector is huge. And if you are working in the health sector, your salary is huge and all of that. So a lot of persons want to go work in that sector because of what they get, but not the services they intend to render to the people. Is there any way this situation can be actually handled?
Well, I told you of my case. It was in a village, no doubt.
That was then. It's not happening anymore.
It was a dispensary. That you will call primary healthcare. Now, there is no reason as of Nigeria today. I think we keep saying we have about 8,809 wards. There should be at least one primary healthcare facility in each of the ward in the federation. Even in a place like the UK, somewhere in the US, it's a paramedics that will come and attend to you before they get you to the right facilities. So the question will be the social, the SHU that we call them, community health workers. How well trained are they? What equipment and facilities are available to them? So basically, for me, I think that in each of the federal constituency, there should be minimum of one secondary hospital. In every ward, there should be a primary health care facility. And then, of course, in each senatorial district, at the minimum, there should be a tertiary health facilities. That is a teaching hospital or any such program, or maybe it's a federal medical center or any such facilities that the federal government will need to provide. So if you put this in place, then you've got to also think about their management structure. What are the class of people that will help those places? Because again, how you head and how you run those places matter. How you run and you run the places matter. So if it's just a doctor who is always more like he is the biggest man, run it down, rough on the people, you are likely not going to get their cooperation, especially in the difficult terrain. And then there, of course, have to be a referral system. Lagos had it at some point. I don't know what will be happening now. If you go on the site of their health, you can find the nearest primary health care to you.
Wow,
it's supposed to be the duty of the primary health care to get you to the secondary, to the general hospital, if there is the need. And I think that it should be the duty of the secondary who say, look, we cannot undo this matter, to deliver you to the tertiary. That's why we talk about people, right? And then we talk about process. The people involved in giving health care are people. Those who are receiving it are also people. So whether they are patient and healthcare provider is a different thing. But the primary health care must be in place. They must be clearly identified. The people must know where they are. And everyone should be able to know the nearest one to him. And so a referral system should be built up. The problem is that some people have headache and they will hit on a tertiary hospital. In Abuja, they go to National Hospital. Fine and good. But when you now have referral cases, they tell you there is no what? There is no bed. There are emergencies can be treated by the nearest facility. Because again, going too far with an emergency case, you may lose the patient. But these processes have to be defined and everybody should know them. I've been with a patient to the primary health care in this Abuja. She had practically passed out. And then the nurses won't even help me to get her from the car in. And then eventually when I managed to get her in, they were like, this case is beyond them. Go to a general hospital. It was in the night. It was raining, and I have to still.
And they didn't even try anything to manage the situation.
I carry myself into the vehicle and then head for the general hospital. Now we got there and they were talking. Somebody was going to be asking questions about CAD and the rest.
But then this issue of CAD and the way emergencies are being handled in our hospitals in Nigeria is becoming something else. Why are the authorities, the Minister of Health should look into that. The authorities, even though some persons are doing a very beautiful job, but then that's not good enough because these incidences will keep happening. Emergencies, they call it emergency because one, they are unforeseen and no one ever planned for it. So at least if you can't do anything, if you can't handle the situation, you should be able to manage it, just like you say, and give a referral, all right, to either a tertiary hospital or maybe a general hospital or whatever. Well, let's get to the next point of call. It is still the newspaper review on Global Morning, and of course, we're looking at the various headlines and what are the news making rounds in the papers. Saturday Punch has this one which says the big story is Rivers local government poll. Tension, uncertainty as Wiki's allies, Fubara's camp set to clash. We don't want that. There shouldn't be any clash. We'll keep saying this, that it's all about the people. And it shouldn't be all about Fubara and Wike, because if two elephants fight, the ground suffers. Then some writers to that story, the first one says, police pull out of election, cite court judgment. Judgment evidence of rascality, says NBA. Reason says how young girls get pregnant on purpose, are bought to look sexy. Well, this is about the women folk. Data's read on page 23 of the Punch newspaper. Then this one says being a female senator is tough. I lobby for projects, Senator Kingibe. Being a female senator is tough. This is a revelation coming from the minister of the senator representing FCT, and she has had some clashes with the minister of FCT, which already has been settled, but now she's making this revelation. I think other senators should also come out and confirm this. And begging, lobbying for projects. I don't know what kind of projects, because when you say project, it's ambiguous. What kind of project? Is it to carry out projects in FCT for people whom you are representing? I don't know, allocations and all of that. I don't know. How does this go down with you? Because a senator is a senator. The gender should be inconsequential as far as the seat is concerned, because the process is the same. And I don't know, but what do you make of this statement coming from the senator representing FCT?
You see, I will start this way. I think back in the library school, we were looking at library collection. And then you will discover that there is a wide range of collection for women. So they have to create a special class. And then I asked my lecturer, I think it was Dr. Sylvie, why is there none for men? He said because there are no sufficient publications to create that class. So women advocacy has been in the forefront, maybe before even the 60s, up until now. So they want to, like, yes, you say there is equality, gender equity. Let everybody go out there and compete one-on-one. But again, you will now come to this. He is representing the FCT. The FCT have a substantive minister from the federal government, which means that majority of federal projects in the FCT, right? In fact, all projects in the FCT are federal. That's the implication. But when you go to states where there are governors, then they have state projects. And then the senators in those places want to influence federal projects to show that they have done something. But again, in reality, senators and House of Rep members for me should have been more concerned about making laws. They should have been more concerned about oversight functions rather than lobbying to get projects. And what do we mean? You have brought the budget, you are going to do this number of roads in my senatorial district. I pick them down. So from time to time, you have PAs go and find out from the ministry and from the road what has happened to it. It doesn't have to be your project, but it's a project in your constituency and you are making sure that that project runs well. But I think we changed the order from the days of Obasanjo to have what they call the constituency project. They actually are not executives. So for me, I would have been more concerned about, since he got to the Senate, how many bills has he been able to come up with?
Okay, talking about yeah.
How many bills has he been able to come up with? There are areas in the FCT, not even areas far, nearby places like Ubua. Go around most of the corners, the networks are just not there. The networks are not there. A lot of things are not running. You go to the primary health care, sometimes you really don't see anything there. So I think that if he is coming up with bills or processes that will ensure that the people of FCT, those are ways we will feel our impact. I think there are about 143 primary health care centers in the FCT. Out of the 143, how many has she or her aides visited in the last 1 year or thereabout that she has been in office? So for me, I don't think that it is their duty to lobby for project. It's their duty to exercise their oversight function. It's their duty to make laws. And so if you think that the laws in place are not good enough for your people, you should be talking about what to do to ensure that the right laws are passed. But like I said, her condition is different. She's in the FCT where almost every project is federal, until maybe when the local government will now come into existence, right? Maybe when the local government becomes more autonomous and they can do things. But practically, she has an issue by virtue of her location, not necessarily because she is female.
Okay. All right. That is it. Not necessarily because she's a female. But then let's get to the next point of call, which is the Saturday Telegraph. We're still bringing you stories making round on the dailies. And from the Saturday Telegraph, I have this one which says Rivers. Rivers is almost on all the papers. But it's so amazing that this election is not just happening in Rivers State, but because of the problem in Rivers State, we can see all of this happening. Right now, it says Rivers, that's the kicker. Tension as Fubara vows to resist attempt to stop local government polls. Then this one says PDP counters state chapter, says no court can stop exercise. Then this rider says police direct commanders not to participate. Details read on page 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8. This is large. Then this one says defense headquarters is the kicker. Troops denied oil thieves 793 million naira crime proceed in 1 week. Details read on page 3. Then the big story on the Saturday Telegraph says ethnic nationalities disagree on return to regionalization. Return to regionalization. Well, we'll talk about that, but let's look at the riders to that story. I have about 3 riders to that story. That's not solution to our problem. The second rider says we are in support of federalism. Regionalism needs to be debated. Afenifere is the one saying that. They said we are in support of federalism and that regionalism should be debated. Afenifere is the one saying that. Then the last rider says we support regionalism as expression of true federalism. This is coming from Ohaneze, meaning Afenifere is speaking, Ohaneze is also speaking. But as a matter of fact, ethnic nationality disagree on return of regionalism. What about you? And what do you think about regionalism? Looking at the state of the nation, you talk about the political system, the democracy that we're practicing, the different agitations and intentions, because for every agitation there is an intention. So we must need to put all of this together before we even put a consideration forward as it has to do with nationalities disagreeing on return of regionalism, and some persons accepting it and some other persons rejecting it. What's your own thought?
Well, my thought on that is straight. Some of those who are looking at regionalism were those who possibly felt it was the regions that make the system more functional in the First Republic. But I think I disagree with that notion. It was not the regional structure per se that makes the system very functional at the time, but it was that we have a form of parliamentary which does not only assert power to the government but also assert responsibilities, because all the ministers, so to say, had to contest election from their grassroots and come to the center. So the power was not arbitrary. The prime minister or the premier at the time were not emperors. They were best among equal, or the most senior among equal. So there was some form of agreement as to this is how we want to be run collectively. So if you ask me, regional system is a no-no. For me, regionalism is a no-no, and that is very straight. If you say let's go by the current 6 region, I think there is an imbalance. There is an imbalance if you say let's go with the current 6 geopolitical zone. For me, there is an imbalance. From Calabar to Benin, I guess, is too wide for you to live as a people together. Right? From Calabar to Benin is too wide for you to live as a people together. And then, of course, when you look at the other side, the North Central, for instance, is bigger than the entire South. I'm sure you are aware of that the North Central is bigger than the entire South put together. As a matter of fact, take Lagos out of Southwest and you will realize that Niger State is bigger than the rest. Benue, Kogi, they are each bigger than the entire Southeast. So when you say 6 regions, it's not fair to the people of the North Central, it's not fair to the people of the South-South, it's not fair to the Northwest, it's not fair to the Northeast. Even the Southwest that is saying, yes, let's rediscuss it, they are looking at it because of ethnic ties. Now the East and the West possibly have Yoruba and Igbo in their region. No other tribe, no other region in Nigeria is homologous in terms of tribe. When you get to Kebbi, there are many people who are neither Hausa nor Fulani. The same goes for Taraba. The same will go when you go to Benue. The same goes when you get to Adamawa. So when you check it, therefore, what we should be looking at is federalism, maybe based on the current 36 states, And then if there will be any other subdivision, let's look at the local government. Then if there are people who no longer want to stay in the states where they are now, you can have for them a referendum to change their state, maybe from where they are to where they think their people better belong. I think those are maybe the kind of crisis in the Benue-Taraba boundary. Possibly there are people in Kogi or Kwara who want to be in together, who want to be in a different place. But other than that, I think that we should try to run our system. And more importantly, the strength of the First Republic was the parliamentary system. In which case, if we go parliamentary today, it means that the governors are no longer going to be emperors the way they are. They would have rights, they will have privileges, but their responsibility will also be very defined. So you can no longer appoint the enemy of a constituency to represent them as the commissioner. You no longer can appoint the enemy of a state to represent them as the minister. When we get to that point, and of course, issues, bills, and debates will be better discussed over time because it will come to the House and there will be less lies. Not that we are getting, the opposition is getting information from grapevine and then you are trying to distort the system. No, the fight will be on the floor of the House. Everybody will look at the same document. So whether you are minister or shadow minister, you get the same document from the permanent secretary. And you debate and you oppose based on the original document, not on some distorted grapevine information. So it makes it easier to separate people from issues and deal with the issues while the people can remain the people. And I think that is what my parliamentary system will offer over the current brigandage of presidential democracy.
All right, we are trying to round up on the newspaper review for this morning, but then we just have one point of call and we will be done. But then I think we are getting to understand certain things right now. Regionalism, what do you think about it? You can also react to what you think about it on our YouTube channel. All right. Global Television is on DSTV, channels 365, Star Times, channel 726, and on Nicomsat. As a matter of fact, that's free to air. So you can always join us every morning, okay? But then, let's look at the last paper that we'll be looking at today before we round off this segment of the weekend Global Morning. As it is right now, from the Nigerian Tribune, that's the Saturday Tribune, I have some very, very interesting story, but it will amaze you that everyone is talking about what is happening in Rivers State. It has to tell you of how, I was telling someone during the election in Edo State, I said, hey, come on, why is Edo State's election becoming like a presidential election? This is a gubernatorial election, an off-cycle election, by the way, but then it has come and gone. Now it is the local government election in Rivers State that is making wave. Fubara on top of his game, Wike, the Minister of FCT, on top of his game, and from the Saturday Tribune this morning, Rivers War, that's how it's been tagged on Saturday Tribune. Rivers War, is it really a war? But then, I don't know why people should be taking election as war. This is a process, okay, to elect people to represent others, because everyone cannot be a leader, as a matter of fact. But then, making it a war, I don't think that goes down with me. I don't know about other Nigerians. It shouldn't be a war, as a matter of fact. But this is what we have right now, and it's a lot of message being passed across, okay, as far as democracy is concerned. So we need to get it right once and for all. Rivers of war. Just 3 riders to that story. Fubara draws battle line with IGP over local government polls. The second rider says traditional rulers ask Tinubu to call a police to order. Then the final one say PDP ask Rivers to resist intimidation. Vote en masse. That's on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. Then this one says the federal government concurrent running of degree, NCE, for colleges of education. Details of that you can actually find on page 24 of the Nigerian Tribune. Can Southwest Honors Obasanjo Abiodun inaugurates new officer? All right, then this one says Senator Ndume is the one saying this, still on the Saturday Tribune, where he says any politician that is not corrupt in Nigeria is lucky. What do you have to say about that? I don't know. Does that mean every politician in Nigeria is corrupt? Is that what he's trying to say? Meaning any politician that's not corrupt is lucky. Like someone would say, sometimes back, some people will tell you, hey, come on, you don't do alcohol, you are very lucky. So I don't know what that means. I don't know. Do you have an interpretation? You may not know, but what do you make of that statement?
My concept of that statement would be that to a large extent, Ndume is right. Right in the sense that now when you say corruption, there is the moral corruption, there is the procedural corruption, there is the financial corruption, right? Now, it's really difficult to find any politician who is free from these three.
Thank you,
That
sir.
is who had not influenced something to give somebody a job that they do not merit, which
amounts to corruption.
Which, of course, is clear corruption. It's even a more wicked corruption than because financial corruption, you may take it, the people didn't know the money is there, so they are less affected. But you employ the wrong person into the DSS or the police or the army, and then you have what we call now in the West. You talk about, they say it's Ishede Toru. That is, you are sending somebody on an errand, you are not sure the person will return. He says, you send other people's children to do such job. But when you now influence your own children or your kids and kin to come and take up these responsibilities, they will still influence their posting so that they are not in the line of fire. So it means that when you are considering who to go to the front, such children are exempted. Then there is also that concept we say, Otumba Kijakeweje. Aremo Kijakeweje. Aremo is a crown prince. A crown prince is waiting to be the king. So you cannot send him to the field as a field commander. Right? But today, politicians have influenced so much that a lot of crown princes are now the people you have in the security and defense and paramilitary forces. So it means there are assignments that you cannot give to certain people. So to a large extent, therefore, you will say that corruption is across all board.
All right, so that is in response to the statement that was made by Senator Ali Ndume. He said, any politician that is not corrupt in Nigeria is lucky. I'm actually taking this again in case of anyone that just ran into the discussion without knowing what we are talking about. It's actually a newspaper review on the Saturday edition of Global Morning. And this one says, a bandit invade mosque in Katsina disrupt Jumat service. We took that in one of the papers earlier. Federal government starts evacuation of Nigerians from Lebanon. I think we'll look at that in our subsequent programs. Then finally, Amotekun arrests family of 7 for burglary, theft of food items. That's how far people are going. Food, scarcity of food, hunger is pushing people into doing so many things. But then, crime is a crime. You don't get into crime for any reason, whether you are hungry, whether you are poor or you are rich, whatever the situation is. There is a way to salvage these situations apart from going criminal. So I don't encourage anyone to do anything criminal. And of course, that's going to be the size of the newspaper review for this morning. It's been a very wonderful time. And of course, you are back home thinking of what to do next. Probably you have an O1B to attend because they said weekends are dates where people go for events. Well, as you go out for your event, it's so good that you've gotten these informations registered already. But then, don't forget that we are still coming up next to celebrate the teachers. Are you a teacher? Everyone is a teacher, as a matter of fact, because you might not be within the confine of the four walls of a tertiary institution, a primary, secondary, or whatever school, but then you may have shown someone something in the past, that you have taught someone anything. It means you are a teacher. So every teacher will be celebrated this morning, and happy Teachers Day to every teacher out there. And a very big thank you to you for coming on the program this morning. Thank you for the insightful moments that we've had. Thank you for the informations, your analysis, and we hope to have you some other time again. Once again, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. And to the viewers, please do not be unkind to anyone that you find around. The times are hard.
Well, that is a word on the marble. You know what he's talking about. And make sure you share whatever you have with anyone around, because the givers, they never lack. We'll return from the break and we will take you through the rest of the program. My name is Ramsey. Don't go nowhere.
Is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business. Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Many thanks for staying with us on Global Television. It is still Global Morning, the weekend edition. And of course, today is World Teachers Day. Who is a teacher in the house? Do we have teachers in the house? I am a teacher. I don't know about you, but then I'm so excited. When you talk about teachers, there is something very unique and peculiar about teachers. And if you're a teacher, wherever you are right now, kudos to you. And I want to say happy Teachers Day. Today we'll be looking at the World Teachers Day, and we will be joined by a head of school by the name Yasim Sarah Zuyeli. She will be joining us. She is our guest on the program today, and of course she's the head of school Naowa Model Nursery and Primary School at Sokoro in Abuja. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mrs. Yasin.
Yes, good morning, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right. Happy World Teachers Day. I think that's where I should start from.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
So how do you feel today that teachers can be celebrated? Because a lot of people feel most teachers are not being celebrated. How do you feel today that it's World Teachers Day?
I feel very happy, and I feel so important because teaching profession has not been recognized or rewarded as it should be. But today, we are among those professions that are celebrated worldwide. And today, I am so happy and I'm grateful to God that I'm a teacher, because worldwide we are being recognized and we are being celebrated today, 5th October. I'm happy. I feel very important.
All right. Let me ask you. Want to know, how has teachers, because there is one way to make yourself relevant as teachers. How has teachers actually contributed to nation building? Because a lot of people went through the worlds of different schools to become whatever they are today. So can you say the teaching profession is prominent when it comes to nation building?
I would say the teaching profession is prominent when it comes to nation building, because the roles of teachers cannot be overemphasized. The teachers instill values, they foster critical thinking and problem-solving skills in their learners. They encourage patriotism, and then they develop responsible individuals, and they provide access to quality education. And without teachers, we cannot have all these professions. When you talk about the engineer, there is a teacher behind the engineer. When you talk about the doctors, we have teachers behind the doctors. When you talk about even the journalists, we have teachers behind the journalists. So the teaching profession is a noble profession, and it is a profession that cannot be laid aside or overlooked, because behind every profession we have in all the nations of the world, there is a teacher.
a lot of teachers feel they are not being given the adequate attention that they need. And some persons in the past, they will tell you the teacher's reward is in heaven. Does that belief still exist? Because a lot of teachers are doing well today, and of course that belief has been changed. Can you now say, well, teachers' reward is not in heaven anymore, looking at what the teachers are contributing to the society?
Yes, I would say the teacher's reward is not in heaven anymore, because a teacher is being rewarded these days. You know, whatever impact you are able to create also determines the reward you get. Let me bring it down to my experience as a teacher. I had an experience with my phone before now, and I was like telling my children at home, oh, I need to change this phone. And well, normally, you know how teacher's salary has been, and I didn't have enough money at that time, but I was just jokingly telling them that I want to change my phone. And one of the days after work, I just received a phone call from one of the parents of the students I've taught. He said, Madam, where are you? I said, oh, I just stepped back to the house. He said, can you come over to the school? Well, reluctantly I went. I didn't know why he was actually calling or why he wanted to see me. And when I got there, he handed over a pack to me, and he said, oh, madam, this is for you, for all the impact in the life of my children you have made. And I got home, and surprisingly, it was a Samsung phone. You see, that is one of the rewards. There was this time when Nigeria did not have cash. We had to pay money to get cash. A parent also called me. He said, oh, I'm in your school. I want to see you. And I came out. And the parent just handed over to me new notes of 1,000 naira of 50,000. And in fact, it was more than a million to me, because at that time there was no cash available anywhere. Even if you wanted to have cash, there was no bank, no cash. That was before the election. So you see, these are part of the rewards we enjoy these days as teachers, because of the impact of our teaching in the lives of our learners. So I would say, in my opinion, that teaching profession is no longer being rewarded in heaven. The reward is right here with us on earth.
Let's look at this, okay? The theme of the World Teachers' Day for today is valuing the teacher's voice. And let's talk about this now. There is this belief that some teachers, we've had instances where some teachers are not really giving out what they are supposed to give. Some teachers are not treating students the way they ought to do it. And some persons have complained in the past that some teachers are half-baked. Is there anything that can be done? I'm asking you this because you're a head teacher, as a matter of fact. Is there anything that is being done in schools, all right, to sanitize the system, to make sure everyone coming in is resourceful?
Yes, there is something going on right now, because the federal government has put up this quality assurance team that visits schools. And like in the school where I head right now, we don't have teachers who are not certified. For you to be employed as a teacher, you are supposed to have passed through the educational training and have the technical know-how of how to handle a student or a learner. And you see, the problem we have in Nigeria is mostly because most of these private schools cannot employ, a certified teacher. So they go down, they employ maybe sometimes secondary school, somebody who just finished secondary school, who has not really had that teaching experience, who has not even gone through certification as a teacher. So it is not just entering classroom to stand and begin to teach. We have rules and regulations, and we have what you should know as being a good teacher and a professional teacher. So these days we have this quality assurance visit by the federal government to check the systems, to sanitize the system, and to ensure that all teachers are certified before they can be qualified to teach. And I believe with all these processes in place, the teaching profession is becoming wonderful, and the system is sound. And most times these days, even the private organizations are not left out. They receive the visit of all this quality assurance from the federal government to checkmate all these half-baked teachers that we have around. The half-baked teachers are those teachers who do not have certificates in education, and they have not passed through the necessary training, as teachers. And there is also a lot of monitoring by the school heads to ensure that teachers are teachers indeed, because their activities they are expected to teach to ensure that the environment is conducive, and to ensure that learning takes place.
Now.
Hello.
Oh, all right. What I'm trying to say is this: strike actions. We've heard tertiary institutions going on strike action. Even lately, we've not had that the secondary or primary school go on strike. What are the government policies that has been made in the past? Do government policies affect your job as teachers? And talking about remuneration of teachers, do you think the government is doing enough for the education sector? We're looking at the education sector. Is the federal government doing enough to encourage teachers with policies and other things that the teachers expect from them?
All right. Yes, for the remuneration, the federal government is trying, but of course, we all know the reality that teachers are the most underpaid, because I believe the teacher is behind every profession, and the teachers should be remunerated correctly. You see, most times when you ask the students that we've taught, how many of you want to become teachers in the future? They will tell you, no, I don't want to be a teacher. And when you ask them, they will always tell you that teachers don't have money, teachers cannot ride big cars. And I want to say the government is trying, but they can still do more. The teachers should be well attended to in the area of remuneration. You see, I believe the teachers also deserve to earn big salaries like other professions. When you visit organizations where they have engineers, they have doctors, they have lawyers, you see that they earn far above teachers, and I don't know why it is so. So I believe the government can do more, even though they are trying. Well, for the policies, the curriculum has helped the schools, to synchronize the learning activities. And I believe the federal government is trying, like the way what I told you earlier about the quality assurance team that has been put in place, and especially with the new Minister of Education we have, is really working, and there is a lot of changes going on to see that the system of education improves.
As it is.
Hello, can you
ask you the next question? Let's go on a quick break. After this break, we'll return and we'll talk more about the teachers, because so many persons have said so many things, and today we are celebrating the teachers. If you're a teacher anywhere, just know that today is your day. And don't also forget that we'll bring you reports from the local government election happening in Benue State, where our reporters are also on ground. and that will be after the break.
Is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Get in on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business.
It's another beautiful day right here, and it is still the weekend edition of Global Morning. Right now, we're taking you to Benue State, where the local government election is going on. And of course, just like it is in some states of the Federation, so also is going on in Benue State. And this is a situation report from what is happening in Benue State right now, as you will be getting other reports subsequently. As I speak with you, the long-awaited local government election in Benue State have actually commenced throughout the state. And our correspondent in Makurdi, the Benue State capital, Aisha Lare Musa, report that as at 8 a.m. this morning, here in the collection center, the situation remains very calm. There is no violence. Everyone is calm, and a lot of people are looking forward to the election. But the process of collecting election materials to polling units was yet to commence as at 8 a.m. this morning, according to the report coming from our correspondent. And as I speak with you, security personnel are, however, visible all over the area, maintaining law and order to ensure peaceful conduct of election. That is in Makurdi local government, to be specific, and other local governments where the election is actually taking place. We will continue to monitor the situation closely and provide you with updates as events unfold. So if you want to know what is happening in Benue State as far as the local government election is concerned, then just stay on the channel, because more information, details will be coming on your way as other events unfold from Makurdi and its environ. That is the report that has been filed in so far by our correspondent, who is presently in Makurdi local government area, which is the state capital. Makurdi is the state capital of Benue State, and she will be giving us more details later. Thank you very much, our correspondent in Makurdi, Aisha Lare Musa, for the information. Let's go on a quick break. After this break, we'll return back to the World Teachers' Day discussion proper.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business. Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and...
Welcome back. Many thanks for staying with us on Global Television. This is the weekend edition of Global Morning, and we've been talking about the World Teachers Day. Teachers are actually been recognized in the society, and of course, my guest has been Yasim Sarah Zuyela, head of school, Naowa Model Nursery and Primary School at Sokoro in Abuja Federal Capital Territory here. So good to still have you there, Mrs. Yasi.
Thank you, sir.
What would you have to say to every teacher in the world that's been celebrated today, and what is your expectation from the federal government? What do you think the federal government is supposed to do to make teachers teach well? Because teachers have a great role to play as it has to do with nations building.
Yes, thank you very much. Let me start by talking to my colleagues, the teachers. It is important that a teacher understands her role. Our role as teachers first is to know that we are instructors. We are to guide our learners or our students. We are to guide them in their academic subjects and to also guide them in their skills and guide them in values. And we are also expected to facilitate learning growth in them. As teachers, we are expected to create an encouraging and engaging atmosphere, for learners to be able to assimilate. And of course, teachers are to make impact by creating that session of inclusivity in their classrooms. So I want all teachers to also be professional. We have a lot of new innovations. They can get all these new ideas from the internet, from other colleagues. Teachers should not just sit down and believe, oh, I have taught for so many years, so I know it all. Nobody is an island of knowledge. So I encourage my colleagues, my other teachers, to please go for more knowledge and improve their skills. It is what you know that will help you to impact. If you remain in the old days, the traditional ways of teaching, you cannot be relevant in this modern world. So I want to encourage teachers to do more so that their impact will be felt. And to the federal government, I want to plead with the federal government to please look into the plight of teachers, especially now, looking at the situation of things in Nigeria. The federal government can do more to encourage teachers, because when teachers are happy, they will want to put all their efforts in impacting knowledge to these young ones. Teachers are the foundation of every profession. So I want the federal government to look into the plight of teachers by improving their remuneration. This will go a long way in ensuring teachers a positive attitude towards the learners in the classroom, and we also improve in our teaching skills. When a teacher does not have money, he cannot buy data. So the federal government can do more by accommodations. They can also give us soft loans that will help us to get some of these gadgets that we need to foster our teaching in classrooms. Thank you.
because teachers have done so much, and like I said before we got started, everyone who has taught anyone anything before is a teacher. So a very big thank you to you for joining us on the program today, and once again, happy World Teachers Day. Well, bye for now and have a very beautiful day, Mrs. Yasin. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having
All right, this is where we'll be bringing Global Morning, the weekend edition, to a close. And don't forget that our correspondent, Aisha Lare Musa, is right in Benue State to bring us reports as events unfold from the local government elections going on in Benue State. Thank you for keeping the date with us. Don't forget that other programs will be coming up on Global Television. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo. Bye-bye for now.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
We struggled as a strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.